When you get called for 5 gigs in one day, and 3 of them might be an hour, the other 2 might be 2 or 3 hours long. Like as a trumpet player and a trombone player, what do you do when you know you got to play 9 hours of like really good trumpet?
Why don't we just jump to our panelists and introduce them? We'll start from my left-hand corner down. Ricio, you're next.
What's going on, everybody? Ricio Fruge, also from Jacksonville, Florida. I live in New Orleans now. This is going on almost my 10th year, and I went to Florida State and Michigan State University, and I am a member of the New Orleans Jazz Orchestra, and I run a YouTube channel, the Trumpet Studio, that deals with all the cool things about trumpet, from anyone who's a day one trumpet player to like the OGs, vets in the game. I like make stuff for them to like have a place to go and talk trumpet and talk about fun stuff that we do. And yeah, we can talk more about who I am and what I do a little bit later, but yeah, that's me.
Well, if you're a serious musician who wants to kind of break into the scene, I feel like you probably do need to go and hit do the what everybody else thinks just to get it out of your system. But once that's over, like, what clubs do you go to? How do you break into the scene and start paying your dues?
Yeah. So I am good friends with Barry Stevenson and Jameson Ross, and they had moved here around 2 years before I got here. They started school at UNO, University of New Orleans, and Barry called me to do a recording session for his one of his early records, and I was like, once I got here, like, was walking around and able to like see the city and see how many great trumpet players there were in the city, I was like, man, I have to find a way to get here. And I was in the grad school at that time, so I was like coming from East Lansing, Michigan. I was like trying to figure out if I want to move to LA or to move to Atlanta, or the usual suspects. And hearing like the amount of amazing trumpet that was being played around the city, and I didn't really know a lot of the players at that time, and I was like, I have to come, like, see what this is about, learn about what's going on the streets here, and like figure out what the essence of the music is that like I don't think many people see outside of the city limits. There's a lot of things that there are a lot of parts that people see, but being on the streets and seeing all the different festivals and different players that you can hear in one day, like I think I heard 15 trumpet players that day, and I was like, yo, like, any of these cats could be one of the best cats I've ever heard. You know what I'm saying? And I know all of them now. Like, you know what I'm saying? I remember specifically Chris Cotton was one of the cats I heard playing at a festival. I was like, who is that? The guy sounds like Clifford Brown meets Trombone Shorty. I was like, who is this guy? You know what I'm saying? And so like that happened so many times. I was like, if there's going to be a place that I can go and learn, soak up information and present it, you know what I'm saying, in some way, respectfully to like the natives, like I want to go there, be respectfully, try to integrate into that scene. And I didn't really have a safety net. Like a school, like a lot of people come here and go to school. Like I came here, you know what I'm saying? Like I showed up. Yeah, that's how I ended up moving down here and been here almost 10 years.
Panelist.
He's friends with all of us. He's the godfather.
You know what? I'm just going to assume everybody knows everybody from now on.
Damn near.
There we go.
Might as well. Hi,
Ashlyn.
All right. Hello, everyone.
Welcome.
We all got
Thank
purple
you.
going on.
hey.
Prince.
So for those of you who are transplants, what made you move to New Orleans?
So my transition or start as a transplant moving into the city was a little bit more hectic than I think some others might have had. And I say that because I didn't attend a university at all in this city. So I didn't have any, like, some of those connections that people usually get from, like, some of the institutions. You meet some professors, and that's kind of like a community that you're kind of built into or you're automatically associated with. And I say that because my wife, she went to a university. She's a musician. She's a trombone player. So like she, navigated the scene the exact opposite way that I did. She was with the community, and so like that was her thing. And so like our stories are very different from how we got into the scene. I did some substitute teaching like TJ did. I might have told him what company I worked for probably. And I realized via that there was a void of black males that worked in the school system. And so I was like, man, like I would love to find a way to use that and help out people that, I feel like having a role model is something that a lot of like young black children like look up to or need, and sometimes. So I was like, how can I find a way to do that? And I started teaching at a music program for after school at risk children for about 5 years, and that was a beautiful situation for me because during the day I would be working with some of the youth of New Orleans who were going to be playing trumpet, playing trombone, playing any horn that we offered at the program, and at night playing with their parents' age people, and also with the elders. And so like it was a pipeline that I got to like see a large perspective of what the city was, what the culture is, and have like tremendous respect for what's actually happening. Because I wasn't just on the scene seeing people play. I was also talking to people's children when they're crying about how they haven't eaten since yesterday, or what I'm saying, like, and finding them ways to like subsidize them having some type of meal. Those type of things were like me reaching my hand in different ways that like taught me a lot of lessons that I didn't realize how much it would affect me. But it definitely gave me a great appreciation for all the relationships that I did build at those times. And also saw some really crazy stuff because these kids from New Orleans, they see people playing all kinds of trumpet and trombone. So like I'd have kids day one never touched a horn in their life. I give them a horn. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to tell you what to do yet. I just want to see what you do. I give them the horn. They'll go, and they'll hit a C above the staff. And I'm like, you know what? We're going to just work around that. You keep that there. We'll build around. You keep that note. We'll work around it from there. So yeah, that.
Mauricio, I never believed until of blood memory until I moved to New Orleans.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
One of the things that came up on our New York call was, and I think John was mentioning one of the clubs that you used to always play at just closed down. And in New York, Scott Robinson, who's one of our artists, was lamenting that one of the clubs that he played at forever is, quite a number of years is closing down. And we're seeing some of these clubs that are just standards of New York and New Orleans too that are closing because of COVID. And my guess that the answer to this question is yes, New Orleans music will continue being played, but what do you think the effect of some of these club closures will have on how the music is being performed? Do you see, is the music just going to be there no matter what the stage, or how do you feel like the effect of COVID is going to have? What effect of COVID do you think it's going to have on New Orleans music?
I think the music scene will face many of the same things that any art field or any music city will face with a return. And that being when is it equitable enough for you to take a gig? How do we return? Is it supposed to be somebody looking out for somebody else type of situation? And so I think in strong music cities, I think based on my talks and chats with other people, I think there's going to be a coming together of community to make certain priorities for ourselves moving forward, so that we can't be as removed from the process of making the business part of this thing work. And I think that's something that's been brewing a long time. And I think major cities or major cultural cities like New Orleans will have a lot more power in making the necessary next steps happen, because this will be the defining moment in how we shift and transition into it being better and more a prolific scene for all of us, and where we have more control. I mean, the entire music industry has changed since the pandemic. Now the music industry has changed. We have to come back to performing, and now we have to realize our actual power and what we have to bring to the table in terms of making sure that we can do what we love. We can also be the storytellers, visionaries, and culture bearers of a region and a town, a city. And from there, place ourselves in the proper place to make decisions that allow us to continue this, because the system was mostly broken in a lot of places before the pandemic. It exposed all of it. Now we have to rebuild, and in rebuilding, we have to just make sure we're at the forefront of it. Our voices are there, and we're not just receiving scraps or handouts. It's like, no, we're an essential part of the culture of the world and the country and the cities that we're living in, especially one as culturally rich as New Orleans.
I think Ricio, you had mentioned you're doing you've got an online group or social media group, and Ashlyn, you Trumpet Mafia. I wanted to give you guys a couple minutes to talk about stuff, and any other of you who work with us up on the side that you're doing as well. But Ricio, why don't we start with you?
Oh, great. Thank you. So yeah, about 2 years ago, year and a half, 2 years ago, I started a YouTube channel called the Trumpet Studio, and I wanted to focus on. I mean, I don't know how to say it better than like I wanted to make the trumpet community cool. Like so, like we had a place to go to watch people. Like I mean, like but like more tangibly cool. Yeah, but more tangibly cool in the way of the internet. You know, like the. So like here's my thing. If I wanted to like have a relaxing but like also like educational night, I wanted to be like I want to go watch something about trumpet. And I could watch videos of Miles Davis for hours. I could watch videos of Wynton Marsalis for hours. And I was like, oh, well, what if I wanted to talk or see something about Ashton Parker, which I say this every time I'm in a room, and I'm not just saying this to fill his ego. Ashton Parker is one of the best trumpet players in the world. Like, find somebody who will check that. So like, I want to know what it's like to be able to go on the internet, go to YouTube or something like that and talk to some of the best players in the world, see what their life is like, what their practice habits are. Like, not just like a lesson where it's all like, you know, suit and tie, you know, just like, no. This is a person that we have the means to talk to anybody in the world at any point, really. It's like, how do you get in the door? And so like what I wanted to basically do is make some like, not to be drumline or corny, but like edutainment. So something that's like educational, has educational stuff there, but also is like entertainment, has entertainment value. And so like I see other fields and other areas that sell things, that have performers and people who are the face of something, and they have a lot of this like very like community based, let's talk about this thing, let's talk about our friend. I can talk about Ashland and John Michael and TJ and Jeffrey on my channel and support them, and that does no harm to me, and it helps both of us. Like, and so like that idea is something that I wanted to make sure that I started to like, if I want this in my life, I want to be able to at least start the foundation for it and see where it goes, because like I want to be able to like go on the internet and not just on like TikTok or something, like go in there and see something that's maybe like more educational and not as just entertainment, like play a cover song. So like some of my stuff is about me showing how I would show a day one trumpet player how to play C major scale. But they can also see me talking about the harmonic analysis of Wynton playing on Cherokee if the different audience need to be should be addressed that day. And so like all of it's there, and there's a playlist for it. And so like if you wanted to click on this line of things to talk about, it's there. And like if that's not your thing, like if you're John and Michael, you do not really need to see how to play a D major scale. You don't need that. But you know, if you wanted to send it to somebody, you could. And so I get there's lots of ways to make this thing work, and I thought my best way is like, hey, I'll start. And so like if John Michael gets a channel, if Ashton gets a channel, Jeffrey, TJ, if they get a channel and they start to talk about these things, it makes it all cool again. And like people can compare I'm talking about, how I felt about it, what I said about it, to how they felt about it. You know, and they can get our honest opinions and see what our, you know, like our regular life is like as well, you know. So that was my thing, and I wanted to make sure that like community. I don't want to exclude anybody, because everything I looked up was like, hey, how do you do this 3-6-2-5 pattern on this certain spot of giant stuff, or it was how do you buzz? You know what I'm saying? Like those two things in such a non like this is your big brother, your big cousin talking to you vibe. Like, you know, that's my whole thing. It's kind of like, hey, let's talk. The Trumpet Studio. There we go. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Part of our quality information, there is too much information out there. It's just hard to find. I just can't believe how many, you know, junior hires recording their practice session are getting these ridiculous followings. And some of my artists who post a video can't get more than 20 likes, you know? And so, you know, having a focal point where, you know, like what you're doing, Ricio and Ashland with your group, that's, you know, will get a more focal point on social media at some point, or virtual point at some point. It's so important, because I think the more places that can concentrate really quality information, quality community, I mean, the better for our music communities. Is there any other like groups that any of you have started or that you're a part of that has been really instrumental to you?
Thinking about it, I wanted to make sure to mention what Ashton was talking about. One of the ways that I saw that as an issue, I tried to address on the channel, which is I made a series called 10 Trumpet Players You Should Know. Very strategically, not saying 10 best, not the, you know what I'm saying? I was like 10 people you should know by region. So there's one for like the Southeast. There's one for the latest one's the Midwest. And so like that idea of like these 10 trumpet players might live literally 100 miles from you, and you never have heard of them. But why not? And so I try very strategically not to be like, oh, well, this is the best trumpet, number one, number two. No, like these are great, phenomenal trumpet players. They look like you. They look like your cousin, your sister. Like they are amazing. They're right down the street. You can actually see them play if you know them. And so like via that channel, like I'm trying to make sure that like across the country, people have the ability to like know about 10 trumpet players that are close by. And then if you learn about those 10, you can learn about another 10 in another region. If you're looking at a school there, like, and all these people represent these different organizations that they're a part of that you can benefit from. So anyway, I'm sorry, y'all might have thought about something, but I got really excited. I was like, oh yeah, 10 trumpet players you should know. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, there you go.
Caleb and Melvin, thanks so much for showing up. I think we'll end the last question with Mardi Gras, which is coming up. Is it a headache, or is it something you guys look forward to at this point? What's life like during the week leading up to Mardi Gras? And
It's canceled.
it's canceled. Oh, okay, it's canceled.
It's my birthday.
No,
Yeah, I was gonna say like, and I'm gonna bring up the story, and as soon as I say these words, these cats are gonna be like, oh man, this time of year is like when some of the questions we have to ask ourselves that really test your character as a musician and as a skilled professional trumpet player or trombone player is when you get called for 5 gigs in one day. And 3 of them might be an hour. The other 2 might be 2 or 3 hours long. Like as a trumpet player and a trombone player, what do? When you know you got to play 9 hours of like really good trumpet, and you got to play it in the way that's like, you know, what people expect in this city. You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, I mean, it's a headache in that regard, but it's also beautiful because like you learn who you are. You learn who you are in that moment.
Yeah,
It's hard, but it's hard, especially when you're like in each of those gigs and you're like in the moment. You know what I mean? It's like you shouldn't be going hard, but like everybody else around you only has like that gig that day, so they're going hard, and you're like, damn, I don't want to be the only one not going hard. And then so you go hard, and then by gig 9, you're like, you know, other people are like, you know, they've only had like another gig that day, and so that's their last gig, and that's your last gig, but you've been playing all day, so it's like you can't. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, that's
and then when you're doing a parade, you got a new audience every block. Like that's a new crowd that's like, hey, what you got? What you got? And you know, you got to give them what you know, you got to give it to them, you know?
Yeah.
And so every block you're playing at a new club, you know? It's like, it's crazy.
Oh.
Yeah, Reese. Yeah, that's yep.
my face is hurting just listening to this.
Me too. I was literally, as soon as he started asking that question, I was like, come on, like I felt.
I can feel it. I can feel it.
Download the Denis Wick app.
Download the Denis Wick app. Yep. Lots of great information, lots of good advice on that for all sorts of playing and playing issues. I wish we could go on for another couple hours. We'll just have to do this again sometime. And stay in touch if you ever need anything, Denis Wick. That goes for all of our panelists. Stay in contact. Ashton, you probably don't know my email, but you know plenty of people here who do. So, and Caleb and Melvin and to all our other attendees who came today, thank you so much for hanging out with us. This has been a lot of fun, and man, it just makes me want to make a pilgrimage out to New Orleans as soon as I get vaccinated.
I'm through.
Let us know now. If we run into you, we're gonna be mad. So like, give us some warning. Give me so we can take care of you.
You know, I need to get in touch with Big Sam. I think he plays on a Heritage Denis Wick mouthpiece, doesn't he?
He does.
He does, and he's done a good job tagging us on social media. I just
And he's picky with what he likes to use too. I know.
Facts,
yeah.
But,
So I know he likes that.
I got to reach out to him. I will reach out to him. That's cool. I feel like I got to know him a little better in this webinar.
Oh, yeah.
So if I don't see you guys virtually sometime soon, hope to see you in New Orleans sometime soon, eating some good food and listening to some good music. If anybody has any other questions or wants to continue the conversation, join Team Denis Wick Facebook group. And most of our artists are signed up there, so you can ask anybody questions and get some answers. And also download the Denis Wick app. It's another great way to stay in touch. So Otherwise, stay safe. Have an excellent weekend. Have a safe Mardi Gras. Yeah, hope to see you soon. Good night.
Well, that was our webinar with Denis Wick and talking some New Orleans trumpet playing. Thank you for watching. Y'all got a side view of what was going on, but as usual, if you like what you see on the channel, make sure and like and subscribe to the channel. If you have not downloaded the Denis Wick app, go ahead and do so. I'll try to send a link down below. And as usual, have a good practice session, and I'm out.